fruits to make way for a peaceful retreat for a homeowner and her guests. That's all next.
Hello and welcome to Groundbreakers. I'm Joe Washington. Today we're going to see a small overgrown lot turned into a peaceful garden retreat. In the front and side yards, the homeowner's been living with the builder's original landscape package that uses plantings in the wrong places and has little visual appeal for her. To top that off, the backyard is an unusable jungle. Let's meet Sue, the homeowner, and see what kind of change she's looking for in her new yard.
I really wanted an in-town house. I lived a little bit farther out, and I investigated the property when they first started building and was the first person to select a lot and select a house plan to go on it, and basically started from the ground up.
Even though Sue chose the plan for her house, the landscaping was just a typical builder's package, not designed specifically for her yard at all. Now, after living in her home for 3.5 years, the shortcomings of her yard are becoming more and more apparent.
Some of the problems that exist with the landscaping today is that the slope of the land isn't really great, and it causes a lot of moss to grow. I actually haven't used the backyard at all. The backyard's been pretty overgrown. There's a lot of poison ivy, regular ivy, and growth that just prohibits going into the backyard.
Sue knew from the very beginning that left as is, the backyard was going to be a problem. She let it go for a while, but realized there was a lot of space she needed just going to waste out there.
I like to entertain and have a lot of entertainment space in the house, but I wanted to extend the entertainment out into the yard and have some shade gardens and some spaces for people to walk and enjoy the outdoors as well. And I really wanted to terrace it with a stone wall and have some areas that allowed shade gardens and allowed some perennial gardens so that I could have cut flowers for the house as well.
Sue didn't let the challenges of her yard keep her from making plans for the landscape of her dreams. She has developed a clear idea of what she wants her yard to look like and how she would like to use it.
In thinking about the overall appearance and overall look, I really like some of the English gardens that I've seen when traveling. My neighbors also have some really nice landscaping that I've admired with a water feature. And so I really wanted to combine all of those things into a fairly low maintenance yard as well. The overall feeling that I'd like to achieve in the backyard is something that's relaxing. I'm planning to have an arbor swing put in and some vines growing above it. Just an area that people could really enjoy walking in, that I can enjoy using for entertainment or just for relaxation.
Sue also knows there are some things she doesn't want to change. For example, she wants to keep the big trees in the backyard. Not only are they beautiful, but they provide a nice canopy that gives welcome shade during hot summer days.
I did ask the landscaper to be sure to keep some of the things that were here because I did like some of the bushes, and environmentally I wanted to make sure that we reused some of the plants that were already here, as well as have some flowering bushes that would flower all season and also have really nice scents throughout the year. And so we're planting camellia bushes and azaleas and hostas, things that offer lots of color as well as pleasant odors when you're in the backyard.
The issues in the front yard aren't as extreme as those found in the back, but changes do need to be made there as well. A lack of visual interest hampers the overall appeal of her home, and many of the plants are in the wrong places and need to be moved. It all comes down to the fact that Sue loves to entertain and wants a landscape that will make her guests feel welcome from the front curb all the way to the back fence.
I really enjoy entertaining, and I like to be able to use the deck and the screen porch as well as the inside of the house. What I'm hoping is that once the backyard is landscaped, people will be able to stand at the deck and look down on the waterfall as well as going down into the backyard to extend the entertaining and make for larger parties.
Sue knows that in spite of the current problems, her yard has great potential. But right now she has no reason to leave the back porch. Don't go away. When we return, we'll meet the landscape architect who will help her reclaim her yard from the menacing vines. Hello and welcome back to Groundbreakers. Today we're following a homeowner's journey out of the jungle. Her backyard is so overgrown with weeds and vegetation that her only option is to stay safely on the porch. The front and side yards contain plants that are inappropriate for their locations and lack visual appeal. Sue, the homeowner, wants to use her yard for relaxing and entertaining. Let's meet the landscape architect she chose to help her. I met with him recently and asked him to show us his plans. The homeowner's never used the backyard, has she?
No, it's just not possible. It's just overgrown at this point.
I'm here with Chris Rowden, landscape architect, and Chris, the homeowner, really doesn't have a reason to leave her back porch. What are we going to do to change all that?
Well, we wanted to create a backyard environment that would be fun for her and interesting, and that involved coming in here and proposing that we clear out all the existing vegetation, thin out some of the trees, and just create a blank palette to start with, and it'll give us an opportunity to do some wonderful, add some features.
All right, well, this plan encompasses the entire yard, so let's start up front. Show us around.
Well, what we're going to do in the front yard, she has some existing plant material that we're going to relocate and reuse because they're good plants, but they're currently just in the wrong location. We're also going to reshape some bed lines to kind of create nice curves and let the curves accent the plants. And then we're going to create, as you step into the backyard, a series of pathways with stepping stones that will lead you anywhere you want to go in the backyard. The major focal points will be a nice retaining wall that we're going to add that will divide the top yard and the bottom yard, and also a water feature that will create a sense of space and sound and environment, and it'll really just add to the yard.
Right. Looks like you have an arbor going here.
That'll be a wonderful little point. We wanted to give a focal point in the backyard, but also a place to sit that she could come enjoy and look up at the water feature from a different perspective. She'll use the screened-in porch and the deck a lot, looking down on it and enjoy it from that perspective. We wanted to get her into the backyard and kind of give her a chance to enjoy the space.
Okay. Well, you've got some plants to work with, but you're going to add some. Describe them. Tell us where they're going to be.
Well, we're going to take what they have and rework them a little bit just to suit our needs. Because the backyard is really shaded, what we're going to try to do is to use plant material that will work in that environment but still create year-round interest. So we're going to vary the heights and the sizes and the textures of the leaves and when they bloom. We're using some hydrangea, varying sizes of azaleas. We're going to use some camellias in the corners and some rhododendron, some anise and some calycanthus for some nice fragrance. We're going to even use some gardenia for some fragrances. So between the fragrances and the sounds and the different blooming periods, we really hope to create a lot of year-round interest.
All right. Speaking of sounds, is this water feature going to make a lot of noise?
It should. The idea being that I want her to be able to open her doors or step out under a screen porch or the deck, hear it, come to the railing, look over the edge, and really give her a reason to come down the steps and get into the backyard. When she does that, I really feel like she'll be taking a greater advantage of what she has to work with in terms of her yard. If she currently doesn't use it, this will certainly be a feature to draw her into the yard.
Right. What are some of the difficulties you're going to face back here?
Well, it's a tight space in terms of the overall acreage, so what we wanted to do was to make it as usable as possible. Currently it slopes down. What we want to do is to divide that with a nice wall so we have a nice level backyard, a nice top yard, and then use a seating wall to take up that elevation change so that we can use all of it and not just have a piece of it here and there to use.
Looks like you got your work cut out back here.
It's a project to take care.
All right, well, we're looking forward to the outcome. I think it'll be well worth the effort, and of course, we'll see you later in the show, but right now, let's return to the yard where all the demolition work is underway.
The first task at hand is to clear out the backyard. A mini excavator plows through the undergrowth, ripping up vines and weeds as it goes. This relatively new type of machine is perfect for getting into small, densely covered areas like this yard. Load after load of debris is transferred first to a full-size skid steer and then carted out front to an awaiting dump truck. Small trees that are little more than overgrown weeds are easily chopped down and removed. Although most of the large trees will remain, one spindly tree must be taken down. High up in the canopy, a worker sways back and forth as he works to take down the tree. After having first removed the limbs, he cuts off the top and then works his way down the trunk, one piece at a time.
Well, the demolition and site preparation are complete and all of the underbrush has been removed. When we return, we'll see this small yard take on a whole new look. Stay with us. Hello and welcome back to Groundbreakers. I'm Joe Washington. If you've just tuned in, we're seeing a small yard come alive. The original standard plantings in this yard did little to create a welcoming atmosphere for this home, and the backyard was an inaccessible and overgrown jungle. The homeowner was determined to create a yard that would give her a comfortable place to relax and entertain friends. The landscape architect has designed a plan that will give her ample reason to come down off of her deck and enjoy her yard. Now we're ready to see it all come together.
Workers begin construction on one of the main features of this landscape, a gracefully curved retaining wall that will separate the two main levels of the backyard. The modular block retaining wall is being built from precast cement blocks that have been tumbled for a more natural look. The blocks have color to them, look natural, and weather quite well. Their greatest benefit is ease of use. The pre-formed tabs on some of the blocks make adjusting their basic shape easier when some refinement to their size is required. A worker inserts the clips that hold the wall together. When inserted in one direction, the clips hold the blocks flush. When turned upside down, they allow for a stepped effect. On this wall, the even flush pattern will be used. Meanwhile, right beside the wall, the project manager follows the landscape architect's plans as he lays out the stairs and pathways. The steps will be made out of the same precast material used for the capstones of the retaining wall. As the wall is built, workers install drainage pipes in an open space that has been left for them. Behind the wall, they shovel in the first level of gravel to help with the drainage problem. A drainage pipe for the French drain system has been laid out behind the retaining wall. Now filter paper is unfurled. This paper will keep soil from seeping through the blocks of the wall and from clogging up the gravel beneath it. After it is set in place, workers shovel in a thicker layer of gravel before covering it all with soil. The wall comes together quickly as workers construct the two stairways at either end of the retaining wall and install the capstones. The capstones are carefully cut to fit in place and secured with adhesive. Workers begin excavating what will become the pond at the end of what will be the waterfall. While they're digging, a biofalls box is put in place at the top of the hill and leveled. This is the source of the waterfall. The box will contain several filters that clean the water before it begins cascading down the spillway to the pond below. Shelves are dug into the side of the pond to allow for better placement of boulders and stones. Once digging is complete, a thick, non-slippery padded liner or underlayment is lowered into place. This liner is not watertight but serves to protect the second thinner liner from tears. The second liner is watertight and comes in one piece. Not only does this durable rubber liner keep the water from seeping out of the pond, but it also keeps debris and dirt from seeping into the pond. Workers are using various types of natural Tennessee fieldstone to create the water feature for this project. They will use a mix of boulders, ledge rock, capping stone, thin stone, and nuggets to cover the waterfall from its source to the bottom of the pond. Not only do the boulders serve the purpose of creating a natural-looking waterfall, but they also serve to protect the pond liner from damaging ultraviolet light. Project manager Greg Green gives more information about the pond and the water pump being used.
The depth of the pond is 2 feet. We've got shelves at 6 inches and 18 inches down. The pump sits at a depth of about 2 feet deep. It's a 3,900 gallon per hour pump. So almost 4,000 gallons per hour will be coming over the falls and flowing through the pond. We have a float valve on the pump to prevent the pump from burning up. If we have a lot of evaporation, the water level drops, the pump will automatically shut itself off. Enclosing the pump in the basket aids a little bit in the filtration system, keeps debris from being sucked in the bottom of the pump.
To aid in solving the original drainage problems, drain pipes are attached to the downspouts on the side and back of the house and to a newly installed 12-inch by 12-inch catch basin. These pipes are tied into a larger pipe that carries the water through the yard and off the property. Nearby, workers lay down the flagstone pathway that runs throughout the entire backyard. These paths will give the homeowner and guests easy access to all parts of the landscape. Right next to the flagstone pathway, a carpenter begins work on an arbor swing. This swing is a critical part of the landscape architect's plan to get the homeowner to come down from her porch to spend time in her new yard. Not only will the swing be a relaxing place to sit, but it will give the homeowner a completely different perspective on the water feature and the yard itself. The carpenter begins construction by cutting out designs in the crossbars that will top the arbor. He uses a stencil to get a consistent design on the various pieces. He then carefully cuts out the shapes and sands down the edges. Another worker prepares the concrete that will secure the corner beams of the arbor. The beams are placed in their corresponding holes, and the concrete is shoveled in. As it hardens, the level of the beam will be checked repeatedly to ensure it remains exactly right. From the very beginning, easy maintenance has been a primary objective of this landscape design. To that end, workers install a sprinkler system throughout the yard. Here, the trenches have been dug, the sprinkler pipes are laid out, and the sprinkler heads are attached. Along the front curb, the pipe is buried and the sod is folded back into place. As the project is falling into place, it's time to begin planting. Truckloads of plants are carried to a temporary staging area created in the side yard. Out front, workers prepare the ground for flowers and plants such as nearly wild rose, umbellata hawthorn, and the ground cover, dianthus. These will enhance the yard's curbside appeal by introducing welcoming color to be enjoyed by homeowner, neighbors, and guests alike. In the backyard, Japanese anise and calycanthus line the fence. All throughout the landscape, an interesting assortment of flowering and fragrant plants such as azalea, gardenia, rhododendron, and camellia will provide year-round interest. Keeping with the homeowner's desires for low maintenance, hostas and holly ferns are used near the steps and pond.
Before this project began, the only time that Sue, the homeowner, would see her yard was as she walked to and from her car or sat on her deck. Now, from the mounds of weeds and vines out back to the bland and misplaced plantings in front, all that was wrong has been removed or reworked. Stick around and see the incredible results. Hello and welcome back to Groundbreakers. Before this project began, there really wasn't a yard here at all. I'm here with Chris Rowden, landscape architect. Great to see you, Chris.
You too, Jeff.
Chris, once again, not much to work with here. Tell us what it looked like before you started.
Well, when we first started the project, the front yard was just a minimal amount of landscaping, a builder's package. The backyard was completely overgrown and inaccessible.
Well, you certainly changed the whole scene around here. Show us around. It looks gorgeous.
Well, starting in the front yard, what we did was to rip out the existing plants, relocate them where possible, and just add some nicer plants with heights and textures that would fit the house. And then moving into the backyard, we came in and did a bunch of clearing and then regrading and add a water feature and a nice retaining wall and some steps and try to make the yard more usable.
How did some of the existing features here help dictate what you were going to do with this yard?
Well, because we have a slope that's higher at the house and lower in the backyard, we needed to put a retaining wall in, basically dividing the yard in half, giving us a nice set of steps to get from one level to the next level, and then make it more usable so you can walk through the yard and enjoy it.
Now let's talk about that waterfall. It looks great because it looks like it's breaking right through that wall.
Yeah, the waterfall was a feature that would really help to hide noises around inside the city lot. It would hide neighbors' chainsaws and lawnmowers and vehicles, and it really just kind of adds a natural feature and adds atmosphere to the yard.
Talk to me about the hardscape here. It all works together very well, from the material you used in the wall to the natural stone you used in the waterfall to the pavers that we're walking on.
The stone pathway was an idea just to have a natural surface to walk on, make it smooth and dry so when even when it's wet you can walk out and have dry feet. The wall block we used a kind of a more of a tumbled pattern to it, something that would be natural and look and hold up, throughout the years and still look great.
Tell us about the plants you used.
Well, we wanted to use plant material that would create year-round interest. For fragrances, we used some Japanese anise and some Carolina yellow jessamine, some gardenia. We use a lot of plants for texture changes, like some hosta and some hydrangeas, small texture things, which is gumpo azaleas and some hellerai hollies, and just even some grassy materials, such as liriope. We just wanted to create as much interest as we could year-round.
Well, it looks great, and Sue finally has a backyard. I'm going to go talk with her about it now. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Sue, how are you?
Good to see you.
It's great to see you. You're finally having a chance to experience your backyard. Are you discovering some new things?
Oh man, it's wonderful. It's delightful to be able to see the back of the house. As you saw from the beginning of the yard, there was no place to go. So much poison ivy couldn't get in it. So now, being able to sit in the swing, listen to the water, it's just wonderful.
What's your favorite spot?
Probably the swing. Just to be able to sit and look at everything, and it just feels so peaceful and so far removed from the city.
Right, and this is quite a bit removed from the builder's package landscaping you had before, quite a step up.
Yeah. The builder's package was on the front and side yards. The backyard really didn't have anything. and it just was not a usable backyard. And so it's just wonderful now to have all the lovely bushes and trees and be able to really enjoy the landscaping.
Did anything come along here that you didn't anticipate?
I didn't anticipate how beautiful it would be. I kind of had a vision of a wall and maybe a water feature, but the yard looks so much larger to me now than the original yard, and it's just a wonderful extension of the house.
Now, I know you stay very busy. How is this going to affect your ability to just get out here and relax and entertain?
I may seriously consider retirement. I can probably come out here and spend the rest of my life sitting in the swing and just admiring everything. I think it's just so peaceful and restful, and it's a wonderful way to reduce stress and just thoroughly enjoy things and get geared up for the next day of work.
And it's exciting to find something new around your own home.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, there are a lot of nice new sights, sounds, and smells here, and we're going to take one last look at this project before and after. Sue, thank you for making us a part of this project. This is exciting.
Thanks, it's been great.
And thank you for joining us again on Groundbreakers. Join us again next time as we take part in another fabulous backyard transformation. Goodbye.